喝酒要配什么？
茴香豆。I'm back in America now, but I just can't stop thinking about this amazing city. Shaoxing is known for its bridges, tea, wine, calligraphy, poets, authors, stinky tofu, and many more. But all of these things combined create an incredibly unique atmosphere that is an absolute joy to experience. I only spent a day here, but it was a day that I will never forget. Shaoxing is located in the southern part of China in Zhejiang province. If you take the high-speed train, it's only 2 hours away from Shanghai, or around 1 hour away from Ningbo, where we were staying. Before we even arrived, the scenery outside the train window already felt different than anywhere else I'd been in China. There were narrow rivers, lots of farmland, and small houses stretching across the countryside.
Hi!
One thing I really loved was how easy it was to wander away from the busy areas and suddenly find yourself surrounded by locals just living their everyday lives. There were people selling snacks on the street, people drinking tea by the water, families walking around together, and so many little places designed for you to just sit down, relax, drink a cup of tea, and enjoy the atmosphere. Before visiting Shaoxing, the only thing I really knew about its wine was Shaoxing cooking wine that's used in many Chinese dishes. But once I got here, I realized there were so many different kinds of wines. Even though I don't really drink alcohol, I actually enjoyed some of the sweeter and fruitier ones, although a few of them were definitely a lot stronger than I expected. Another thing Shaoxing is famous for is stinky tofu. And honestly, this might have been one of the strongest smelling foods I've ever had in my whole life. You could smell it from so far away, and somehow the smell even stayed on my clothes afterwards. This version of stinky tofu was fried tofu, and you could customize it with different toppings to make it more salty or more spicy. So the smell was intense, but the flavor was honestly amazing.
Let me get a good bite.
Is that too salty?
No.
I put a lot of sauce. I put 3 kinds of sauce.
It's the salty sauce.
Yeah, that's the salty sauce. This is the spicy sauce.
Oh, okay. This is really, really good. This is way better than the other one. This is like, the outside is very crispy, but the inside is like almost a liquidy kind of texture. It's so soft. And the salt on the outside is perfect. Oh.
外酥里嫩.
Exactly. I think they make their own spicy sauce as well. Like that huge pot we saw earlier. I think their spice is very famous here. It tastes really good. Very soft.
One thing I always love about traveling is learning about local history and culture. So visiting Lu Xun's former residence ended up being one of my favorite experiences in Shaoxing. Before coming here, I honestly didn't know very much about him, besides the fact that he's one of China's most famous writers. But walking through his family home, reading the informational signs, and seeing the rooms where he once lived and studied made everything feel much more real and personal.
One day he was late and his teacher yelled at him so bad, so then he carved Zao on his desk to remind himself to never be late. Sounds like a very sarcastic, interesting person. Very interesting how all those things are stacked on top. all of the on the roof, all of the tiles are just stacked on top of each other. You can see from
There were so many little details preserved from the past, and it was easy to imagine what life must have been like back then. I especially liked how immersive the whole area felt. Instead of just looking at all this information in a museum, you could actually walk through the courtyards, the different rooms, and little pathways, and slowly piece together stories from the past.
just a thin little blanket on the top, and the rest is wood. And that's how they sleep. Must be good for your back though.
And there were also a few gift shops nearby because it is such a popular tourist attraction, but honestly, everything felt surprisingly thoughtful and well designed. There were journals and artwork and notebooks and a bunch of little cultural products and even some blind boxes.
你看这个人间清醒。我想大抵是倦了。I guess I'm tired.
Outside of these really touristy areas, Shaoxing was filled with endless little streets to explore. Every corner seemed to have another food stand, a cafe, a bridge, or a hidden alleyway. And the snacks also attracted cute dogs. I've honestly never seen so many dogs wandering around freely in a city.
Very good.
It's a little bit sweet, a little bit salty, and it's still hot.
So everything right on.
Yeah, right on.
And looking back, what made Shaoxing so memorable to me wasn't just the food, the architecture, or the history. It was also this feeling of unexpectedly discovering a place that I knew almost nothing about, and then slowly falling in love with it throughout the day. Sometimes the best travel experiences aren't the ones you spend months upon months planning. Sometimes they're the places you stumble across by accident, and then you can't stop thinking about it long after you leave.
工作顺利，事业有成。
Overall, I had a really amazing time exploring this little hidden gem in China. It's such a unique and beautiful place to visit. And if you've made it to the end of this video, then I want to say thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.